to you. Need a second mic. Today we are looking at, so for the reading test, you are being tested on your ability to pay keen attention information contained in the passage that you now the IELTS board or body reading test is the simplest aspect of the IELTS test, and their reasons would always be that in listening tests you listen, you read, you write. At the listening test does not repeat what it says repeated. Whatever you're reading as many times as you are a fast reader. So because of that, a listening test marking scheme tend to be, whereas reading tests, so your reading test, all you need to do is read carefully and get answers. So because of this, you need to put to enable you get application you are filing. So some of the things you or some of the things you need to apply for would be the important key. Important keys are the bracket trick. We have the techniques. So for it is simply seeing a part of your answer that you are not very sure about, putting in brackets a part of the answer that you are not very sure about. It could be words. As long as you're not very sure about that answer, you helps you to stay safe. But there is something you need to understand when you are applying the bracket trick. If you are able to interpret the instruction and adhere strictly to it. Let's take, for instance, if an instruction right here says no more than, how might you interpret this instruction? No more than 2 words and or a number. Okay, so Godfather, let's hear from you. No more than 2 words and or a number. What does it mean? Okay, it means you shouldn't exceed. Okay, Precious, do you hold the same view? Stop shaking it. Okay, all right. So to a large extent, but instruction. The emphasis is do not exceed. It means your answer can be It can be number. It can also be two words. Two words and a number. Then it can be just a number without a word. Do you understand this? You will to explain this. But let me no more than two words means don't exceed two words. However, you are write two words all through that section that this instruction covers. Simply tells you that your answer can fall between just a number without a word. So that's what this instruction is. Let's look at an example during your reading test. Simple words such as silver, answer. One word and a number can be maybe cards. This is one word and a number. Two words can be brown stairs. Here you have two words. Two words and number. You can talk about all right, pressure. Okay, so for a single word, you have silver, which is one word. And you have 20 cards, which is one word and a number. Brown stairs, two words. Golden rings, two golden rings, two words and a number. Then is just a number without a word. So that's the way it goes. Right here is emphasizing on words. That's what it's emphasizing on. So when you come at it doesn't you should write words all through. If you do that, there is those answers will be incorrect because some of them the examiners one word and it's perfect. Okay, so you need to understand this and make provisions for that when the bracket trick during your reading test. You might observe that your reading test answer can be let's say concrete nails. Concrete nails. So when you have concrete nails as your answer, you need to observe carefully what the answer is specifically looking out for. If the answer needs your answer to, pardon me, if the question needs your answer to indicate the particular material that is used to borehole or fasten items to the wall, then of course it is what? Nails. But because the particular nail in question is the one that can bore very strong wall, then the passage specified concrete nails. But the question is not asking about the nail that can bore hard wall. It's just asking you about the material or the item that can be used to bore hole in the wall, or fasten or hold items on the wall. So your answer is nails, but since it says no more than 2 words, you want to play safe. Concrete nails. So this concrete is a supporting answer to nails. Why? Because the word concrete here is an adjective. It is describing the type of. Do you understand this? The reason this, if you write concrete around it, what this will do for you is you have respected the simple instruction of not writing beyond factor, that there is the possibility that examiners do not need the concrete. They just want nails. So if you write concrete nails this way, whereas what the examiners need is just nails, then your answer is incorrect. Despite the fact that your answer conforms to the instruction, but it's still incorrect because the perfect answer to that particular question does not require concrete. It just needs nail. That's all. But if you apply the bracket trick around it, around this supporting word concrete, you are safe. Because what the bracket does for you is it helps you to play safe, right? So it becomes optional to the examiner. So if the examiner does not need the concrete, it's left aside. That's the way it works. You just need to apply it to always stay. Now let's look at another category of instruction during your reading test. It might tell you no more than 3 words. No more than 3 words and or a number. Please, Precious, can you interpret this instruction? No more than 3 words and or a number. You are done. Help me. All right, perfect. All right, that's perfect. Now, it's the emphasis is do not exceed 3 words, but you are not compelled by that same instruction to write 3 words all through. Is that correct? So this simply means your answer can be 1 word. It can be 1 word and a number. It could be 2 words. It could be 2 words and a number. It can as well be 3 words. It can be 3 words and a number. Then hopefully it can be just a number without a word. Now, in this scenario or in this situation, how can you apply the around part of your answers? For instance, if you've heard or you read a passage and you found your answer to be temporary building sites, it is a 3 word answer. Temporary building sites. Now, arguably, a test taker might say, I wrote my answers in adherence to the instruction, right? But that doesn't mean the answer that you have written is compulsorily meant to be 3 words. It doesn't mean that you must write 3 words. So it means out of these 3 words, okay, 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 all right. So we have gone to no more than 3 words and or a number. So I'm just explaining that having an instruction stating that you should write, your answer should be no more than 3 words and or a number does not mean you are compelled by the instruction to write 3 words all through. That's not what the instruction is saying. So this simply means your answer, the emphasis right here is that your answer should not exceed 3 words. Okay? However, it can fall between 1 word to 3 words maximum. So when you have this type of answer, temporary building sites, when you find it as your correct answer, there is high tendencies that these 3 words are not required. So some of the words, 1 or 2 of these words may just be supporting words. Okay? So what do? You want to identify the ones that are supporting. Okay? The ones that are supporting. So here, active. All right? Now, this is a gerund, an active verb. All right? And this is a noun. Then, so you want to, the question wants, if the question is demanding to know the place where something should take place, it's just at the site. It should be the site. But what type of site? It could be building sites. So if this is the case, you have 2 options. The bracket tree can work around the first 2 words that are the supporting words to the noun. So here, it simply means this is your primary answer. That's what you're telling the examiners, right? However, you are telling them also that these guys right here are optional words. They're optional answers to this. So if you need these guys to complement this for the answer to be correct, please, here they are, take them. But if you don't need these guys and you just because of my brackets. Now, if what the examiners want is just the site, examiners will ignore sites. Building sites without temporary being relevant or required. And you are, if they want temporary sites without establishing a place for building, then this building in brackets will be ignored and you are good to go. And if they want the 3 words, you are also good. Precious, do you understand? Pardon? Okay, Francis, are you online? I can hear you. All right. Gospel, did you understand what I explained? All right, I'm going to take this again so that everyone would be on the same page. All right? So I said when you are treating a section that says no more than 3 words and or a number, no more than 3 words and or a number. What does that mean? It simply means your answers must not be 3 words all through. That's what that means. It means your answers must not be 3 words all through. And also, it means your answers should not or must not exceed 3 words. That's what it means. However, since you are not to exceed 3 words, your answer should fall between 1 word answer, 2 words answer, and 3 words answer. It can also be just a number without a word. Right? Now, if this is the answer you found in the passage you read, now what you just found is temporary building sites. Now, this answer is a 3-word answer and it's in consonance with the instruction, no doubt. But this does not mean the 3 words are compulsorily required. So you need to basically identify what the question needs. So if the question needs you to identify the name of a particular environment where people do the building activity, it's called site, according to the passage. But what do they do on the site or at the site? Building, right? Building site. Now, what type of building site do I have over there? It is the temporary building site, right? Now, to play safe, you have been able to, pardon? Any question? Okay, all right. I think I can hear some fluctuating voices. Okay, let me. If you are able to identify the place of each of these words, are we having network glitch? Gospel, can you hear me? Are we having network glitch? Okay, okay, all right. So I was saying that if we are able to identify the role of each of these words, in your answer, then you will now establish the one that is your primary answer. Here, perhaps, if the question is seeking to know the particular location or spot or center where construction activities are carried out, then you are talking about where? Sites, right? Now, but construction varies. There are different types of constructions, right? Now, what type of constructions go on around that particular location? Building construction. So that place is specifically your building sites, right? Now, is it a permanent building site, or could there be a moment they'll be asked to relocate? Yes, it's not permanent. It is a temporary building site. Hence, this temporary can be in bracket. The building can be in bracket of its own, whereas site is the primary answer. So you just have to leave it open. When this is formed this way, what you have done is you have told your examiner emphatically that your primary answer is sites. Okay? Now, you have also made the examiner to understand that temporary building are the supporting words to your answer. Right? So, however, if you need any of these guys, or if you need these guys to complement my answer to be perfect, of course, they're all here, pick them up. But if you don't need any of them, and just the sides is what you need. Of course, they are in brackets, so ignore them. That's what the bracket trick does for you. Francis, do you understand? Okay, Precious, you said? Okay, if we put the two words in one bracket, right? All right, when you do this, you have told the examiner that there is no word here, nothing is here. This is the only thing I've written. So if you put two words in one bracket, you have annulled, those words don't exist. All right? But when you leave them in separate or individual brackets, they stand to be taken if they are required. So they become optional answers. Please, do you understand the difference? Don't make the mistake of putting two words in one bracket. All right? All right. So what do we have here under tips? We're going to look at two different things for tips. Always read the instruction for each section carefully before attempting any question. Always read the instruction before attempting any question. This is the most valid and important advice any teacher would give to his, not just for the sake of IELTS, but for any exam you're writing in the world or in your lifetime. It is important. Now, here in IELTS, you need to read instructional reasons. One, reading instruction will help you to identify how many words your answer should. It is by reading instruction that you would get to know if the section requires your or no more than 3 words. Write more than, automatically everything you are going to be writing there will be marked wrong. Please understand that the bracket trick does not make a word invisible. In one bracket, that's when the word is considered to be invalid. But if you have your words in separate brackets, if those words go beyond more than what the instructions specified, automatically the bracket trick will not save you. So the instruction should be adhered to strictly, right? So if you read the instructions before starting any exam, it will help you to know how many words your answer should come. It will help you to know if you are to write your answer. It will also help you to know if your answer is meant to come in the Roman numerals, I, and all that. It also helps choose maybe 3 letters from the list of options given. You know, there are sections you'll be treating, and the instruction will tell you choose any 2 or any 3 correct letters. So when instruction says choose any 2 or your answer should not and must not be chronological. You don't need to A. Have A, B, C, D, E, and it says E. Your second answer can be B. Your third answer can be D. So it says any. Don't compel yourself to arrange them in order. So fine. Now, but if instruction says choose 2 letters from the list of options given, it means your answers must be in the right 2 instructions. Anyone any 3 correct answers. It doesn't require that says choose 2 or choose 3 letters or answers from the list of options given. This means orderly arrangement is required. Please, do we understand this? Okay. Now, reading instructions. Okay, okay. Says choose two letters from the list of options labeled or letters, right? Now, this category of instruction must be orderly. Do you understand this? Hold on, you don't need to remove it. Yes, so while they are coming back online, you know how to fix it? Okay, right. Um, so if it says choose two letters, it means your answer should appear in the right order. Perhaps the first answer is required to be C and the second answer can be E. So C, D, E. So C before E is right? But if instruction says choose any three letters from the list of options numbered A to E, what this means is it doesn't require orderly arrangement. Your first letter can be D, second letter can be A, the third letter answer can be C. Do you now understand? All right. Now let's continue. Reading instructions. Reading instruction will also help you to understand if you are to. It will help you to establish that. It will also help you to know if your answer, if a statement is true or false or not given. Also, reading instruction will help you to know if a paragraph can solve two different questions, right? For check if there is anything that says or informs this. Okay, when an instruction says you may use any letter more than once, please always check if there is such instruction. It simply means your answer or a paragraph can solve two different questions. And the two different questions don't always follow each other. For instance, first question from paragraph C, second question from paragraph C. No, it doesn't work that way. So you might get your first answer from paragraph C, and then your fourth answer, answer number 4, or answer to number 3, can come from the same paragraph C, right? So this is what would give you the indication that two answers can come from one paragraph. But if there is no such instruction, it means one paragraph solves just one question, and that's it. Do we understand this? So in most cases where you can find identifying writers' views, that's the true, false, not given. So you answers can come can come from one paragraph. Uh, if a paragraph has a particular statement, so information given, and you are required to identify or locate which paragraph. So you might, in this type of exercise, you might find out that two different answers can come from a. Also, when you are treating summary answers, you may also find the same. So topics together, so you would understand how these things work. So, but be careful and get your instructions clear. It is the first step forward in the right direction, right? Now, the next tip right here is Q's plus P plus Q equal A. Q's plus P plus Q equal A. This simply means your reading test should follow the order of reading your questions first. That's the question under that particular section you are treating at that point in time. You are expected to read those questions first, right? Now, when you are reading this question, you are to read each question only once. Read each question only once. Do not read a question more than once when you are taking this approach. Now, why do we read just once? This is because if you read a question more than once, the brain by default will pick interest in it. When that happens, it means you have. So when you go to read, all will be particularly for that question. Is any other question you need to find answers for, you would have to go back to the passage to read. Right? So, but here you are strongly encouraged to read a question only once. And when you're reading, your main focus is to identify the keywords in each question. The keywords in each question. The reason is this. It is those keywords in each question that the passage will paraphrase. The passage will use their synonyms, right? So when you are reading the passage, you will never see, or you may never see, the same words in the passage. So to some extent, certain test takers will assume that the answer is not there, not knowing that paraphrasing has taken place, right? So you need to identify the keywords in each question by either underlining them or applying some circling or rectangular indication around those keywords. So when you do that on all those questions, because each section you are treating, you may be required to solve 6 questions. Some will be 5 questions, maximum 8, right? So these are things you should do for each of those questions, so that when you go to the passage to read, you now know what you are reading for, right? And then when you, pardon? I have a question. All right, go ahead. Without reading the passage, how do we identify the questions? Okay, remember, I just explained that you should begin by reading the questions. In each question, there are keywords you are to find out, even without going through the passage first. Let me give you an. Okay, here, this is an information, a statement. It says you may use. Right here, there are keywords here. What are the keywords? May. Right? Now, more than once. So this may simply means probability. Not all the letters, not all the letters that you are expected to use. So it says any letter. Then here it says more than once, meaning it can be twice. Is that correct? So when you read questions, you are to look out for the key information in each question. So these are things when you are going to the passage, this word here may, the passage may say probably or perhaps. Do you understand? So you will never see the word may. So when you see probably or you see perhaps, your mind should prick you to this guy that is may. You should understand that the word has been substituted in the passage. That means my answer is around this environment. Is it clear? Okay. So when you read your questions and identify the keywords, then you go to the passage. So when you go to the passage, what do? You now begin to read. You begin to read the passage. So when you're reading your passage, you have to be very intentional. As you're reading, be vigilant for the keywords you identified in the questions. So as you're reading your passage, when you see information that relates or refers to those keywords in the questions, all you need to do is with your pen or pencil, you simply highlight or underline those areas. If you're doing the computer-based test, highlight that particular information that you feel is referring to this part. So you keep doing that in the passages that you read. Keep doing that in the passages that you read. So as you read, you underline. And what are you underlining? The key information that you feel are potential answers to these guys. Please, do you understand this? Okay. Now, as once you are done with reading of the passage and identifying major information that you feel to be potential answers to the questions or the keywords you've identified at the question section, it is now time to go and get your answers. Now, to get your answers, you are going back to the questions. Now, but when you go back to the questions, you are to take it one question at a go. So you read something like question 1, you go to the passage. Now, when you go to the passage, you are not going to read the passage again. You are rather meant to scan through those areas you have already identified to contain potential answers to your questions. So you just need to scan through those highlighted areas to get your answer. Right? Please, do you understand this little formula? Okay. Must all the keywords be replaced with the synonyms? No, not all the keywords. Some, most of them can come exactly. No, not most of them. 80% of the words in the question section entirely. 80%. In fact, the paraphrase may not be just words alone. The paraphrase may be phrases that replace or that still give the same words. It can be numbers to interpret the same information. Do you understand this? All right, so those are things you should look out for when you're reading. Let's go to okay. So let's of the 3 T's, which is techniques. So for techniques, we are going to look at 6 major techniques. The first is paraphrase. Precious, what's paraphrase? Francis, what does paraphrase mean? Thank you. Gospel. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Now, paraphrasing plays out greatly in reading tests. Paraphrasing in reading tests. So, what does this mean? Your reading also tests your word bank, your vocabularies, your advanced and in-depth knowledge of English words. So, how do we encounter paraphrasing? Runs it runs from words to figures. It can move from figures to words. Paraphrasing can move from words or figures to fractions or percentages. In reading tests, paraphrasing can move from words or figures to general terminologies. So how do we experience these? Or how do these play out in reading tests? First, you need to understand that for words or figures to from words to figures in your passage or in the questions you've read, you might realize that some questions might express certain information such as um, a dollar. A dollar may be written in the question. When you go to the passage, you may never see a dollar. Rather, you might see 100 cents. Now, please let me hear from us. What is the difference between a dollar and 100 cents? Francis, is there any difference? But is it the same? Are they expressing the same information? All right. So you might read a dollar at the question section. Then when you go to the passage, what you find is 100 cents. So do not feel that a dollar is not used in the passage. It is used, but in a rephrased manner. You might also read the passage or read the question and you are seeing this guy, half an hour, and what you would see at the question section will be 30 minutes. It's been paraphrased. It's still repeating the same thing. Now, you need to understand that this paraphrasing we are treating are not things that would that are actually your answers. Rather, they are things that will help you to locate where your answers are. Because when you read the question and you see something about a dollar, and then go into the passage, you didn't see a dollar, but you saw 100 cents, you realize that it's repeating the same information but in a paraphrased way, then around where this information is lies your answer. Do you understand this? All right. The same thing when figures are used at the question section, and then you go to the passage and you're seeing words, it is still the same thing that plays out. So you might see something like 4 weeks. 4 weeks can be paraphrased to a month. It is still saying the same thing, right? So wherever you find this information, Check carefully around there. That's where your answer is. Okay, let's go to the third category of ways paraphrasing play out. The third one right there is word or figures being paraphrased to fractions or percentages. So let's look at this. If you have this information, perhaps a quarter, for instance, or 1/4, this guy can be paraphrased to fraction as what? How can a quarter or 1/4, which is in words, how can any of these guys be paraphrased to fraction? Fraction. 1/4. That's correct. Now, in word as well, it could be one. Do you understand this? So, if that has expressed, it is still replicating is 1/4 to percentage. So, because everywhere in the passage that there is no such information in the question, please check if there are things like this in the of this information, and that's where you would find your answers. Do you understand this? This also, if we have half of an entire population, half of an entire situation or population, how can it be expressed or represented in fraction? One or 2/4. What about percentage? How can we express these guys in percentage? 50%. So these are ways paraphrasing can play out during your reading tests. The same thing applies even during your listening test. All right. So you need to be careful. You need to be very intentional and look intently to locate these guys. Let's look at the last part of the paraphrase. Okay, so let's look at what we have there on the board. In the next 2 minutes, we are going. I would want you to write down somewhere alternative ways these guys can be paraphrased. How might these guys be paraphrased? Write them somewhere on your notes in the next 2 minutes. So I would get from you what you have written down about. Our time starts now. Okay. Um, if you're viewing from the YouTube platform, please do well to just like this video, and of course, you can share the link with your friends. So let's begin. I would also like to get your paraphrase from the YouTube platform on this. You can simply drop that at the comments section of the video. Um, Francis, let's begin with you. Every day, 24 hours. It can be 24 hours, or it can be daily, right? Okay, every week. 7 days. 7 days, or weekly, right? Every 2 weeks. Half a month. Every 2 weeks. Bi-weekly or fortnight. Yes, bi-weekly or every fortnight. Yes, Biweekly, or every fortnight, or just simply say fortnightly. What about every month? 20 days. Even February? Precious, what do you have? Monthly. Monthly. Every month can be monthly or 4 weeks. Francis, 4 weeks covers both February and other months. What about every 3 months? Quarterly. Quarterly is perfect. Every 6 months? Half a year. What else? Half a year. All right. Every 6 months can be mid-year. All right. It can be biannually. Okay, let's go to every year. How can you paraphrase that? Annually. Annually. Or yearly. Right? What about every 2 years? Every 2 years is biannually. Biannually. Biennually. All right. What about nearly 25? Quarter a century. Pardon? Quarter a century. Quarter a century. Almost 25. Precious, I like that paraphrase. Okay, nearly 25 in IELTS can give you about okay. A dozen is, a dozen is 12. So here says near 25. So nearly 25 does not categorically implies 25, right? That's what it can be. Now, for Precious, that paraphrase you gave, um, it would have been correct if there was any indication about. I don't know if you understand this. No, it's not specified, right? Okay, let's go to the next. 20 persons. How can you paraphrase 20 persons? Pardon? Okay, 50%. Correct. I didn't get that. Pardon? A goal, a group. Group. Oh, okay. No, this is what it should be. Yeah, a score of individuals. 20 means a score. Yeah, that's what it means. Okay, so Precious, please take the lead. What does 10 years? How can it be paraphrased? A decade. Okay, so we have a decade. What about 100 years? Correct. A century. What about 1,000 years? Pardon? Please, who can spell that word millennium? If you are very confident, let's spell. Okay, please, Precious, let's take that again gradually. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Noted. Francis, what do you think? Do you share the same spelling? Hi, why am I always asking gospel? I keep, I keep, I keep forgetting. Gospel, please. Gospel, please. Can I get your own spelling? Has it ended? Hmm? Okay. This is actually correct. This is not correct. At the back? Okay. Let's please give us your own spell. Okay, that's correct. Don't worry, you'll be taking the lead henceforth. So that they should you want to be coming last so that you allow them to show themselves, right? All right. All right, so a millennium, this is what we have. Then what about 30 years? How might it be paraphrased? 3 decades. All right, thank you. Now, Precious, what do we paraphrase 25 years anniversary to be? Final answer? Gospel, please confirm this. Gospel, have you confirmed it? All right, yes, it is Silver Jubilee. Then what about 50 years? All right, so please, these are possible ways your reading as well as your listening test can paraphrase major information or popular expressions that you know. They could just paraphrase them to this line of expressions. So for those who always expect their audio, that's the listening test audio or your reading passage, to show or carry the same information you have read at the question section, it would be impossible, almost impossible. So 80% of the words will definitely be paraphrased. Always prepare your mind for that. Please, are you good with all of these? All right. Thing here, which is skimming. So what does skimming mean? Precious, can you help us out? What do you think skimming is all about? Skimming is like when you just browse through the text. You don't really read everything, you just go through inside. Okay. Gospel, what do you think? She's correct. Is that what you think? Okay. Francis, how might you define skimming? All right, so yes, you're all correct. Skimming is a reading. Skimming is okay. Gospel, let's hear you. All right, that's correct. So in skimming, you are reading not to have the complete gist of the content or the information, but to do what? Have an idea, a general idea of what that particular content is trying to pass across. Skimming is a fast reading technique that you carry out with the aims of completing your reading very quickly and also having a grasp of what you have read. Okay? That is what you need if you really want to complete your reading exercise. You need to build and master your skimming skills. Right? Now, because you are not reading to have the complete gist, because you are reading to grab major or key information from what the content is trying to pass across, you really need to apply underlining technique to help you remember those areas, to help you remember those key information. So when you are reading, when you are skimming very quickly, you need to underline. So what does underlining mean? It is a reading technique of ruling under words or phrases or sentences that you feel to contain potential answers to questions. Skimming, underlining is a reading technique that helps test takers to rule or apply signs under words or information or phrases that shows this part is where my potential answers or answer is. Now the key thing here is, what do you underline? What do you underline when you are reading? Of course, we've understood that you should go to the questions first and underline the keywords in the questions. So you go to the passage to skim. So when you are skimming through the passage, you need to underline. So what do you underline? You need to underline synonyms of the keywords. Synonyms of those keywords, as alternative ways or words used to replace the words in the questions. You need to underline them. You also need to underline figures, information passed in the form of figures. They are also potential answers. You need to underline them. You also need to underline quantity. Quantity. You need to underline dates. Anything that has to do with dates or year, periods, centuries, those are also potential answers. You need to underline names of the key players in the passage. For instance, the names of the researchers in the passage. You need to underline the names of the affected persons in the passage. They are also potential answers. You also need to underline philosophies, ideologies, thoughts of the author or writer, their thoughts in the passage, their philosophies, their popular sayings, their ideas about certain things are potential answers as well. You also need to underline their innovations, their inventions, things they created or fabricated. They are also potential answers. You need to underline cited examples in the passage. Examples that are cited in the passage, they are also potential answers in some cases. Then you need to underline how things were resolved or solutions to challenges or situations in the passage. They are also potential answers. Please, do you understand? Okay, let's go to the next one here. This is scanning. What does scanning mean? Scanning is a fast reading technique. It is a reading technique of spotlighting or searching through information with the aim of locating where an answer is situated. Scanning is a fast reading technique of spotlighting or searching through an information with the aim of locating where an answer is situated. Now, what do you scan? Gospel, please tell us, what do you think we should scan?
The main ideas or the main causes.
We should scan the main ideas. All right. Francis, do you think we should scan just the main ideas?
Well, we should also scan the figures, also the synonym.
Precious, please help us. What can we scan?
For scanning, you'll be scanning to look for like specific dates and like dates that for the line. So you look for things that come like to back to you.
I didn't get what you said, please.
I said for scanning, we're going to be looking for keywords, like specific keywords that can link to our answers.
Okay, now you are all correct. What you scan are those information you underlined. Those information you underlined are the things you scan. In other words, you are not reading through the passage anymore. You are only looking at those underlined areas. I saw it somewhere, I saw it somewhere. That's it. So that's the scanning. Right? So it is important that you underline so that your scanning will be very fast. Okay? Then we also need to apply what we call jotting, labeling, or making notes. Jotting, labeling, or making notes. What are these techniques for? These are techniques: tags, titles, captions, topics to the paragraphs you have read based on your understanding. Labeling, jotting, or making notes are reading techniques that help test takers to give captions, tags, headings to paragraphs that they have read based on their understanding. So this is how it works. When you read a paragraph, what is it you've understood from this paragraph? What do you think this paragraph is trying to, what message is it trying to pass across? In your own words, give whatever caption you want to, you feel it's trying to pass across, write it beside it. Now, when you do that for all those paragraphs, especially the lengthy paragraphs, because the lengthy paragraphs are the passages that you will be required to treat matching headings, right? So for you to treat your matching headings very quickly, give titles to those paragraphs on your own, in your own words. So when you are done labeling all those paragraphs, as you then go to the headings, you compare the headings to the titles you gave. There are similarities. The difference would be choice of words, but the same idea is what you would find. So it will help you to quickly answer questions. Then lastly, we have or crossing out, ruling or crossing out. Time management techniques. They are your time, reduce your areas of search for answers. Are your time management techniques that help you to manage your time and also reduce your areas of search for answers. Right? When you have paragraphs, A, B, C, D. Now let's assume you have read these paragraphs and you've applied your. Now you go to your headers and you read the first header. Then you come here and search for your answer. If you don't find it here, you read here. Here. When you find it here, you go to your answer sheet. Maybe question 21, your answer is C. You write your C. You go to the second header. You read your answer in these two. You will come here and scan. You don't find it here, you go here. When you find it, you write your answer. Now, the time you've spent scanning scanning your C, the time you spent scanning through C again, that you've already gotten your answer, is a waste of precious time. If there is no information that says you may use any letter more than once, it is just one paragraph solving a question, and that's all. So what your answer here is the ruling or crossing out technique, which means you can use your pen or pencil and strike it out. So when you are scanning for answers again, if this guy does not give you your answer, if this guy does not give you your answer, you automatically skip this and come here. So when this guy solves gives you the answer, you also apply the ruling or crossing out. So you now know that you have two more paragraphs left. So it's reducing your areas of search. But if the instruction allows you to use any, that if in technique can still fly, it doesn't mean that your application of the ruling or no. It doesn't mean that it has covered the content. No. It only gives you an indication that these guys have solved my first set of. Come down, make sure I've checked these two. If I don't find them, then I could find them around here. To those areas that you've not gotten answers from. Please, do you understand this? All right. So, the reading test tomorrow. Oh, we're not meeting tomorrow. On Thursday, we shall treat the reading topics. We're going to treat the reading topics. Now, those reading topics, we will do the theoretical aspect, and we shall also do the practical aspects. So we'll get to see how some of the topics can be solved, and how you would manage your time and get your answers. These are key things you need to know and apply during your reading test. They will help you to understand your instructions. They will help you to know how your answers should come. Let's take, for instance, some candidates who come for physical training tests. When they are giving mock tests, what they do is they don't take time to go through the instructions. So when they are taking their test, they provide more words than the instructions have specified, and automatically they fail those questions. So please hold on to these guys, and by the time we should be able to begin to treat our reading test confidently. Please, do we have any question? Gaspar, any question? Um, Precious, do you have any question?
No, sir.
All right, so please permit us to go and sit somewhere and have some massage. We've been standing from morning to this hour. All right, so thank you so much. We'll be taken on Thursday. All right. Bye.